the last time a woman with a Tim ran against Trump, they lost. So I was wondering if you think
Kaine. Oh,
if
interesting.
you think that Kamala can pull it off.
I think it's interesting that you're like probably the only person who noticed that. That's quite a political observation. Very astute. Yeah, Tim Kaine. I bet you. I doubt if 1 in 10 Americans could even come up with that name. He was so forgettable from, right, Hillary's VP. Tim Walz. Is that how I'm saying?
Tim Walz.
Tim Walz. I'm just learning about him. My complaint always with the media is that nobody except a few outlets, I think the Free Press does it well, and I think our show does it well, maybe a few others, try to get to the truth in the middle, no matter what it is. But like with Tim Walz, all I see is in the New York Times, he is the greatest thing that ever happened, and he's certainly not too far left. And in the New York Post, he is the left-wing devil who's going to bring about socialism on day one. And I'm sure it's somewhere in the middle.
Yeah. Wow. I guess it's up to us to kind of figure out where that is over the coming months.
I'm always trying to find that one place where...
The normies.
The normies, the people who are not being controlled by one side or the other. But our media really is now where it was in the days of Thomas Jefferson and Sam Adams, because they each had their own newspapers at the beginning of the Republic. I mean, they had their own newspapers. And it's kind of like when I read the New York Times, it's like, oh, this is the Democratic Party's newspaper. They do a lead story. I'm talking about a lead story on what an asshole J.D. Vance is, because it's and then they do a lead story about how great Walz is. And the Post does, the New York Post, that's the other party's newspaper, and they just do the same thing in reverse. It's interesting. We're right back to where we kind of started. In the Republic.
I'm glad we're on 2 chairs instead of a sofa. You mentioned J.D. Vance.